and we'll show all of you how you can build an acronym bot really quickly without coding. Right? And hopefully by the end of the day, you will take the acronym bot and say, hey, I can build my own bot. That's the goal. How many developers in this room? What? Good, because we don't need developers today. Today's goal is let's do it ourselves. So my name is Alan and I work for one of the coolest technology companies in Silicon Valley. We have an amazing product that gives business technology teams the ability to build and maintain integrations, automations, chatbots without the need to code. We are a relatively young company. We are founded in 2013 by the senior leaders of the companies you see on the left, and funded by the companies you see on the right over there, Workday, ServiceNow, and Salesforce. I hope you recognize some of these names. Some of you all use some of these tools as well. Next slide. So every day, I work with organizations to help them unlock what we call the 3 levels of automation. At the most fundamental level, we help companies connect their applications together. If you have a Workday, you have a Greenhouse, you have a Lever, let's bring these systems and tools together. The next level of automation is all about business process, right? So it's based on rules where tasks, data, files are routed between people, as well as systems based on some predefined business rules. Today, what we will talk about is enterprise chatbots and how it can help transform your business. We are a global leader in this space. We have many competitors, but the key difference between our platform and any of our competitors is really the ease of use. As we'll go through the building of acronym bot today, let me know if we use a single line of code, okay? And you don't understand anything, because if you don't, then we have failed as a company. And that is our goal. We'll have level 3 focus today on enterprise productivity chatbot without the need for deep technical skill sets. Next slide. We have customers from all industries and also a local team in Sydney. I think Zaid is in the room somewhere over there. So if you want to have a conversation with us, we are here in Sydney and we have quite a number of customers in Australia and New Zealand as well. So what is a chatbot? So let's talk about chatbots. It is basically a computer program to help stimulate conversations between human users, and it will talk to you and perform functions for you. Chatbots are used in business for 2 main reasons. Okay, number 1 is a lot of the customer-facing work, right? So quick replies for automatic answers, online inquiries. So that's one way that people use that. This could be on live chat, it could be on phone, or it could even be on emails. But today's focus is on enterprise productivity chatbot, right? It's not the customer-facing chatbots where sometimes you call the airlines and you get annoyed a little bit, say, just let me get to talk to a person. It's all about streamlining workflows and orchestrating business processes. So why chatbots for enterprise? Well, how many of you have application landscape that looks like that? Google, you have Box, you have Salesforce, you have so many of these tools. Sometimes it's really hard to navigate, right? And the worst thing is that these tools and platforms are done on multiple platforms, right? Different websites, you have mobile apps, you have desktop apps, and it gets harder and harder and harder over time. Why? Because we're buying more and more tools. It just gets really hard. Now, what if we can have a chatbot that knows what we want to do in the tools that we need to do the work on, and just get the work done for us, and only come to us whenever there is a problem, right? Just get all my work done and come to me if you need me to make some decisions. And that is really the goal of what enterprise productivity chatbots can do, right? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do today. Some of the benefits include improve employee experience, boosting productivity, enhance team collaboration, reduce costs. And all of this with the aim to drive that employee experience, employee productivity, and help the company to drive efficiency. So now let's talk about building that first acronym chatbot. Okay. To get started, let's look at the different levels of chatbots that we can actually build. So the first level, and that's the easiest one, we call the click navigation chatbot, which is really around basic predefined buttons. You click on a button, the bot responds to you, and you have another set of buttons you can click, and you carry out your work based on buttons and clicks. On the second level, it gets a little bit smarter. The bot actually can understand some keywords. So you say hi, they understand that keyword, and the bot responds to you. The third level is what we call natural language chatbots, where you can say things like, hey, I need some help, and the bot understands your intent that, oh, she needs some help, let's give her some help, and the bot understands that intent and interacts with you based on intent. Now, the last but not least, we have what we call the God level bot. Unfortunately for all of you today, it only exists in movies like Iron Man. Right? So let's not talk about level 4 today. So how does this work? So first off, you need to choose what we call a deployment channel, right? Which is where your users will interact with your bot. In this case, we're going to use Workplace by Facebook, but it can also be on email. Some of you use Alexa at home, Amazon Alexa. Say, hey Alexa, I want to do some stuff. So the deployment channel is where you interact with your chatbot. It could be on email, it could be over the phone. Next, we use some commands or buttons that you kind of define in these chatbots that will go into what we call a workflow orchestration engine. And this is where Workato, you see the W over there? That is us. This is where we come in. We understand the button clicks, the navigations that you're trying to make, and then we help you to interact with your systems. So you have your databases, you have your applications, you also have some knowledge base, and we understand the system landscape that you have. We connect to those systems, and based on that, based on any of the query and responses we get, we'll send that data back to you. Right? So that's basically how it works. You talk to a channel, the channel we understand what you're trying to do, we connect to your systems, and then based on that interaction, we will then send any corresponding responses back to you. So far, so good? Not too technical, yeah? Now, you can have some natural language that is built on top of that. Not required, but it's always built on top of. So this is where you need, kind of what we call natural language understanding tools, like Google AI. There are many tools out there, Watson, that sits on top of this, and the goal is basically it flows back to the workflow engine to communicate with your tools and send the response back. Right? So that sits on top. Okay, so now, with that basic understanding, let's go ahead to build our first bot. So let's go to Workplace, and over here you can see the Workplace newsfeed. The first thing we need to do is to create a custom integration in Workplace that allows third-party applications like Workato to connect to your Workplace instance. So let's try to do that. So first we go to the admin panel. We go to integrations, and we click on create custom integrations. Simple as that. We give it a name, say Workato connection. So because we are creating something that Workato can connect to, and we give a description. And we create. Now the next thing is, we would need to then set things like permissions and things like that. But the key thing here is that you define the permissions of what a platform like Workato have access to your workplace. Right? You can define that. Over here, Gabriel has kindly created a custom integration for us that we can use with all the necessary permissions predefined. Right? So with these integrations created, now we can go to the Workato platform to connect to this custom integration that we have just created. Okay? So we'll go to workato.com, we'll log in, and we'll click on what we call App Connections. So Workato, as I mentioned, is the orchestration engine. So the first thing we need to do is to connect Workato to the workplace. To do so, all we need to do is to create a new connection. The application is Workplace, so Workbot for Workplace. And then we provide the access token that we have just created in our workplace. So we go back to Workplace for a moment. You can see that you can create an access token over here and simply copy and paste. It looks like code, but actually it's not, right? Just copy and paste it in. Okay, so Gabriel has already created this for us. So you can see here, we copy and paste the access token, connect it, and that's it. Workato is now connected to your workplace. That's all that needs to be done. With the connection already established, now what we need to do is we can go and start building the bot interactions with what we call Workato recipes. So now we'll go to the recipe tab, and we'll click on create a new recipe. Okay. And what a recipe is basically a set of business rules that gets performed based on a trigger event. So in this case, I want to create a very simple bot, like an acronym bot. So basically, I need to give a command, and the bot will kind of send me a reply back. So let's do that. So the trigger event for this is going to be from Workplace, and me giving a new command in Workplace. So I'll say, I want to give a new command in Workplace. Next, we will select the connections that we have already established earlier on. So click on connection. So now we know that this recipe is connected to our workplace. Click next, and then we define the command. In this case, I'll give the command, let's say hello. So if I say hello to the bot, I expect the bot to understand that. Next, we can then define a set of actions. That means if I say hello, what is the bot going to respond to me? So the action will also be on workplace, and the action would be a simple reply, for example. So I want the bot to simply reply me. And when I click next, the reply could be, hi Alan. Okay, let's finish. We're done with building our first bot, and we'll show you how it works. So let's start the recipe. Let's go to workplace. Let's type hello. There you have it. Hi Alan, right? We want to customize this bot. It's so simple. Let's go back to the recipe again, and let's say I want to tell the bot to say, hi Alan, how's your day? Right? So we'll go back to the recipe, go back to the action, and we will simply put in, how's your day? Simple as that.
Can I just ask a question on that? You've actually got your name there. If you're building a bot for an organisation.
We'll show you.
Oh, that's
You want this to be customized to that person, right?
Yeah.
No problem, we can do that. I will show you. Baby steps, baby steps. Let's start the recipe. But you see here, hello. Same thing. Now you see that minor modification. You take baby step. I have 20 minutes, right? I told you 20 minutes. So now you see, hello Alan, how's your day? Very simple. Okay. Now, the next step of the process is I want to slowly get towards the acronym type bot scenario. Right? So I want to go back to the recipe again. The first thing of an acronym bot is that the bot should ask me what acronym do I want to convert. Right? So what I can do is I can go to the trigger, and I can define what we call an input field. Okay, an input field is basically what the bot is going to collect from you in order to perform its action. So I would say add a parameter, and the parameter is acronym. Okay, scroll down, add the field. Let's start the recipe. Let's see what happens when I make that one small change in the chatbot. Now it asks you, please enter an acronym. Let's put in an acronym. Unfortunately, the bot is not that smart. Because I haven't coded it out, I haven't defined it yet. So the bot, let's enter the acronym and say, hi Alan, how's your day? So let's make it a little bit smarter. Hopefully it understands what GHP stands for. So in order to do that, we need kind of what we call a mapping table, right? We have GHP maps to group health plan, IC maps to individual contributor. So Gabriel has created in Workato what we call a lookup table that maps acronym to name, acronym to name. Very simple, right? So we've created this table. Now we can use this table in that same recipe. So let's go back to the recipe. Let's stop it. Okay. And then let's go and add an action below this step. Now what will the action do? It will simply search for the item in the lookup table. So I can add an action. I will type the app as lookup table. And in the action, I have this thing called search entry. And I'll select the correct lookup table, which I've just created, which is the list of Australian acronyms. And this is where the magic happens. Just to answer your questions, how do we start mapping, right? You want to get the name from an actual data. You don't want to hard code everything. So on the left-hand side over here is what we have data we're trying to push into. So in this case, the step is to search in the lookup table. So in order to search, I need to push some data in here. On the right-hand side over here, you see data that you're getting from previous steps. So if I take a look at the new command trigger, you see there? And you scroll down slightly, you'll see that there are many different what we call fields. And these fields are actually coming from your workplace instance whenever the command is coming in. So previously, what I've done in the earlier step is I've created what I call an acronym parameter. And I can simply use that in the recipe here. So let's drag and drop it here. So what basically this does is that you'll take that data from the acronym command and you'll do a search in the table using that data, and hopefully it comes back with some response. Okay, now let's go to the next step. Now based on this search, I want to have an if-else statement, right? If I find some results, I want to tell the bot, reply with the result saying, what does that acronym mean? If I did not find it, I want to have another response to say, sorry, I did not find that acronym. To do so, I add another step below, and I add a conditional with else action. Okay? And you can see here, we'll click on, we set up the condition first, so in step 3. And same thing, what you realize on the right-hand side is that now we have data from the search entry step. Because when you do a search, it will either come back with, yes, I found something, or no, I did not find anything. Okay? So over here, I would say that I will use the data from the search step. I would say that if you manage to get a name back from the search result, a name, I want you to do a certain action. So I say name is present. So name from the search result is present. Then the action would be to post a simple reply again. So let's do that. Workbot for workplace, post a simple reply. And this is where the magic happens to answer your question. So I would say something like, acronym stands for the name. Okay, so that's how we do the mapping. So then you can see the response back. Now, if we did not come back with any results, then what I want to do is I want to define the action in step 6 to say something like, did not find any results, or I don't understand what it means. So let's put that in. Let's close this step and let's take a look at what we have built. So the first is basically what we call a trigger, and the trigger is still hello. So when I say hello, in the trigger, the bot will ask me, what acronym do you want to find? And then we still have the post command reply there, which is, hello Alan, how's your day? So we'll leave it there for now. Then what it does is it takes that acronym, it searches it in the lookup table. And you can see there's a logic branching, right? So if we manage to find it, we post a message saying that yes, this is the acronym. If we did not manage to find it, it will say, sorry, I don't understand this acronym. Are we ready to try it?
Yeah.
Okay, let's try it. Hopefully it works. It will work. So we go to the chat, same thing. We click on hello. We haven't changed that command, so we use that first. Let's give it BHP maybe?
GHP.
GHP, sorry. So you see, the bot does what you tell it to do. So because I still have hi Alan, how's your day, the step is still there. It will still do it. Let's try one that is not there. See that? It's very easy to customize. So if we go back to the Workato recipe that we have just built, and let's go to jobs. Let's refresh this page, go to jobs. So every single time we run that command, a job is actually created. And if we look at one of these jobs, let's look at the latest one and see what actually happened on the background. You will see that, yes, a trigger happened. Scroll down. We post that simple reply. We try to search in the lookup table to see if the acronym exists. But then it says, sorry, it did not find this acronym, and therefore it skipped step 4 and just posted the message in step 5. And we click on step 6, sorry. You can see that the message was, sorry, I did not understand AHP.
Is there a way that somebody can then submit a new acronym if it's one that you don't have?
Yes, possibly. Possibly we can create another recipe that allows them to add into the lookup table. So remember the lookup table step?
Yeah.
The lookup table step, we only use search entry, but it could also have update entry, create entry, and things like that. So you can add on to the lookup table from here. So Workato, we can connect to any systems. And I think what we wanted to show here was how you can create a very simple acronym bot. But now I want to show you a little more example on two more examples of what you can do with chatbots using a platform like Workato. So let's try, how many of you are communication specialists over here? Communication people here. Okay, how many HR? Okay, I think about half. So let's start with communications first. So over here, my bot understands help, and we have two actions. So we'll start with communication versus onboarding. So communication is for comms people, onboarding is more a HR onboarding process that we'll show today. So let's start communicate. So this bot basically allows you to send mass communication out via workplace or emails through the chatbot itself. So you can define the buttons, so all of it drag and drop, no coding, right? On Workato, same recipe concept, just kind of building on top of that. We can give them buttons, say, okay, which department do you want to talk to? So in this case, let's talk to marketing. And then the bot understands, okay, marketing is actually split out into various regions. Which team do you want to talk to? So let's say New York. And here the bot would ask you, do you want to send it now? 3 hours, 6 hours? You can even say, I want to send it next year. It's possible as well. But let's say you want to send a message now. And then it will ask you to enter a message. And the bot says, I send a message out. So let's look at what the bot does. As you can see here, of course, all of this can be customized. So this is my account, that was his account, is communicating to all the people in HR, and because I'm also from marketing, therefore I received the message. But you can set up communication channels like that basically sends it out to everyone in an easy fashion using chatbots. So let's take a look at any questions. Anyone wants to add any comments?
Sorry, what if someone then responds to that?
You can have a trigger event for people to respond, and that data can either be routed back here, or it could be routed to a person. It's up to you on how you want to define. Because all of it, as I mentioned, is based on triggers and actions. The triggers can be defined. The actions can also be defined in a drag and drop style. Does that answer your question? Now let's try the onboarding scenario. How many of you all use Workday here? Okay, some. Success factors? Okay, a little bit more. What else do we have? Who else has any special tools from? Okay, we'll try Workday as an example. So let's click on onboarding. So in this scenario, what we wanted to kind of show was that in a lot of our organizations, we hire people all the time, right? And one of the challenges is that we have interview process, sometimes multiple interviews that needs to take place, and we want the people who interview to give feedback so that the hiring managers can then make a decision to offer or not. So what this bot does is that it collects all the feedback from people, and it could be connected to your level, or your greenhouse, or your Workday application tracking systems. We can connect to any one of those. And once every single person has completed their feedback, we would post a message to that HR manager saying, hey, are you ready to make an offer or not? So if you are, because this guy, it looks like an amazing guy, right? Yes, verdict from everyone. So let's say we create an offer to him. So then what happens here is that the bot goes into my Workday instance to pull out the compensation guide for this particular role. And if I'm ready, I say, okay, let's generate the offer. And the bot will ask me, okay, what is the salary? And put in stock options if any available. And once that happens, the bot automatically can send the data to DocuSign to send out the envelope to the employee to sign. At the same time, it can update Workday to say that, hey, I already sent the offer. At the same time, you can also update your application tracking system to say that, hey, this is done. So instead of taking 3 steps to send this DocuSign, to update Workday, and to update your application tracking system, the bot does all 3 simultaneously on your behalf. So now let's check DocuSign to see if this person have already signed the document. And it looks like it has. And once that person signs, automatically we can upload the data into Box. We can upload Workday to say, hey, this person has already signed the offer. We can update the application tracking system to close the job posting automatically. Now, usually what happens after a person signs is you want to send some data to an onboarding manager to help onboard this particular employee. So over here, we could send a message to the onboarding manager and say, hey, this person has signed. Let's kickstart the process to begin his onboarding. So we click on begin onboarding. The bot will automatically create a couple of things. Number 1, it will update Workday to say that this person is now existing in our organization. The second thing we'll do is we'll create a ServiceNow ticket. This could be on ServiceNow, it could be on Jira, it could be on any of your tracking tools so that IT knows that they have to take certain actions. And more importantly, sometimes, apart from the default things that you give to employees, you want to give them more. So in this case, I really like this employee, I want to give him an iPhone. So let's create a request. And let's give him an iPhone. Maybe he deserves a MacBook as well. And there you have it. We can click done. and the bot automatically updates ServiceNow without me even talking to IT. IT tracks the progress of what has been provisioned. The bot automatically comes to me that, hey, table has been set, his location is at level 4, this particular table. The email has been created, the ServiceNow ticket has been closed. So all of this tracking and interaction between people can very much be helped by a bot going to different people within your organizations to help coordinate work amongst people. Okay, let's go back to the slides. So bots can be used in many different ways. The two examples that we showed earlier today was communications and onboarding. There's a lot more you can do. It can affect sales. For example, approvals process is one of the very common ones. When somebody submits an expense, how many of you have to log into Concur just to approve the expense? You have to log into Coupa or some expense management to approve the expenses. What if we can consolidate all of that on Workplace, and the manager just need to click approve, and we update Coupa and Concur on behalf of that manager without them needing to log into extra systems? What if we can, so things like ticketing systems, right? I think the example from Michelle from Vodafone earlier, we can have tickets created via chatbots, tickets updated via chatbots. But the best part is, what if you can do all of this without writing a single line of code? This is the power of Workato platform. If you are interested. Before that. So the new way of how we work is changing, right, within a lot of our organizations. In the past, we look at how humans have to interact with all our systems and all the communication tools. So what happens is that there's an overload of information, right? You need to talk to people, plus you need to talk to your systems and update systems at the same time. What if the people have work goes to them, right? Not them going to the work, where the bot is where they interact with the systems and where they collaborate with their with their colleagues. So people should be involved in a lot of collaboration, communication, and connectivity and creativity, and less of trying to make sure they're putting all the systems together, updating Workday, updating ServiceNow, and constant need to update the systems when a bot can actually help them. So if you're keen to embark on this journey, start now. And the easiest way to do that is reach out to us. My colleagues and I are here today. Reach out to the team at Workplace. Workplace is very familiar with our platform, and we are happy to kind of have a conversation. Without further ado, thank you all for the kind attention, and I look forward to talking to you.